Q&A. Get the booze going. I posted on Instagram and on YouTube saying that we were going to do a Q&A, and I got hordes of questions, a lot, mostly about ice cream, thankfully. Obviously there are some very personal ones that people decided to ask, which I'm not surprised about. I am going to sit here and eat a Bounty chocolate bar because we've just recorded the Coconut Conundrum video, which I don't know when it will come out. So if it's out already, I'll put a link below. If it's not, then ignore that and you never heard me say it. So let's get on to some of these questions. We're going to do some personal ones first, get those out of the way. How old are you? I am 43. Nice and easy. I'll be 44 on December the 13th. Why is my beard grey? My beard is grey because I'm getting old. I actually went grey quite young, but some parts are holding on for dear life, much like my hairline. But hey, we can't all be perfect. Where do you live? My family and I live near Newbury, which is in Berkshire. So we used to live near the Queen. Now we live near the King. We don't at all. Berkshire's huge. On to some more food-related things, rather than get rid of all those personal kind of questions. Will you ever make other desserts on the channel? Yes, we did make some ice cream sandwiches. The cookies were kind of styled like cupcake Gemma cookies. They're New York style cookies. They were really good cookies actually. They were, I'll put a link below because they were good cookies. And we were able to freeze them and cook them later down the line. But yes, we're going to do some other kind of videos. We've got some planned for later this year. I think we're doing a couple, aren't we? But it's just about expanding. We'll always be an ice cream channel, whatever way you shake it. But we are going to add in some other kind of goodies as well. Things like how we make the brownies that go in our recipes. The add-ins, you know, you've got like cheesecake ice creams as well. So we'll do videos on how we make the cheesecake and stuff like that. So yeah, we will expand a little bit.
You made a stonking cake for Hopelessly Devoted to Moo.
Oh, the chocolate blackout cake. Brooklyn blackout cake. That's what it was called. Hold on. Where's the top? Hopelessly Devoted to Moo. That was under the old channel name. Yeah, Brooklyn blackout cake. That was really good. Actually, we just recently watched Jamie from Anti-Chef make his version of Brooklyn blackout cake, and I'm glad to say that mine was equally as bad as his. So overall, enjoyable. Very tasty though. Next question. Why don't you make no churn ice cream? How long you got? No churn ice cream. Whew. It's not ice cream. It's a frozen dessert. I get why people make it. If you don't have an ice cream machine, or you don't have freezer space for one of the containers from an ice cream machine, you don't have the money for an ice cream machine, or you just don't make enough of it to even warrant buying one, then I get it. But there are some distinct problems with no churn ice cream that nobody ever talks about. And that is, it's very high fat content, usually in the early to mid 20% fat range. Sugar wise, usually the same. So actually what you're making is something that is incredibly bad for you. I mean, ice cream already is pretty bad for you, but it's really bad for you. Will I do no churn in the future? Maybe. Will I enjoy it? No. But it's not all about doing what you enjoy. I know some people, or I should say a lot of people, have asked me to do some no churn recipes. So the likelihood is in 2023 I will do some. Yeah, that's it. Next question. Why do you spell flavour wrong on most videos? That came from an American. I don't. I'm English, so over here, you know, expect to see that kind of spelling for flavour and colour, and we don't use cups over here. I'm not doing cups. It's a 2022. Measuring things with you might as well go up and use a shovel and a bucket to measure things out. Come on. Buy some scales. Next question. My wife's laughing in the background. Next question. Do you eat all the ice cream you make on the channel? Do I eat all of it? No. I eat a lot of it. We try and limit ourselves as a family to ice cream at certain days of the week, because as you can imagine, the amount of ice cream that I make, not just on here but in general, it's way too much to consume. So I give it away to various people, the ice cream that we make on the channel. So it might be my mum, my mother-in-law, friends, they just literally take what they like. But that kind of leads on to another question, is how much ice cream do you eat? A lot. Weekly, I don't know, a litre maybe, depending on how good the week's going, maybe a little bit more, maybe 1.5 litres. It's probably more of a question is how much do I drink, but that's a different video altogether. It's not a lot. Next question. Can I get a video of the tubs being drawn? We have tried. We have tried doing that, but it doesn't really work out, because having a toddler, you're always doing a little bit here and a little bit there. You're doing it when she's asleep or playing on her own or at nursery, whatever. We don't often have, or my wife, because I don't do them, we don't have the time that enables her to sit down, set up a camera and film it. Plus the tub is always being moved around to suit, so it's very difficult to capture it all on camera. So as much as we would like to, the likelihood is no, we're not going to be able to make a video like that. We'll try and capture some little snippets maybe, but we don't do as many of the drawn tubs as we used to. It's just very time consuming and, you know, life takes over. Next question. Do you prefer ice cream or gelato? I don't know, actually. I'd say ice cream, because I prefer the fatty, or I should say American ice cream. Gelato just means ice cream. American style ice cream, because I prefer the fattier recipes. But you also can't beat that slight chewiness of gelato. Gelato enables much stronger flavours to come through due to lower fat percentage. And that actually does tie into another question, but I'll talk about that then. But if someone gave me gelato or ice cream, I'm never going to turn it away, unless it's bad, of course. But yeah, do I have a favourite? No, I'll take whatever comes my way. Next question. What is your favourite ice cream of all time? Oh, I don't know. It does change, but if we're looking at store-bought ice creams, I mean, I kind of have to revert back to Ben & Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs. Fish food and Haagen-Dazs Belgian chocolate. Those are probably my favourite. Yeah, I'd say those two are my favourite. If I were to go out with nothing, no means to make ice cream, those are two flavours I'd buy more of than anything else.
What about the Haagen-Dazs midnight?
Oh, chocolate midnight cookies.
Yeah.
You can't buy that anymore. So it's kind of a moot point, but that was one of my favourite flavours. We did make that. Howl. It's had 3 names over the years. Chocolate midnight cookies, midnight fudge, I don't know, whatever the 3 names are, I'll put them up on the screen. I forget. But that is a really good ice cream, and I remember having it as a teenager. So that might sneak into a third. Maybe joint second. Don't confuse me. Next question. What are the costs of making your own ice cream? Obviously that depends on what one you make. If you just make vanilla and you use vanilla extract, the cost would be very low. Things like lemon or orange, we've just finished recording the orange rectification video. That's very cheap, you know, citrus fruit. You can buy a whole net 5, 6, 7 of each fruit for not a lot of money. It is going to change depending on where you're making it. Dairy costs a lot of money in some parts of the world and costs nothing in others. In England, milk is relatively cheap. Cream is going up in price, but still relatively cheap, as is sugar. 5 kilos of sugar over here in a standard supermarket, not at wholesale prices, is £2, £2.20. It's not a lot of money. So really, if you're making recipes of 2 litres plus, you can bring the cost of a 500ml tub, one of these, down to in the £1.20, £1.30 range. Really cheap. Really, really cheap. Plus you can make it however you want it. If you're going to start making brownies and cakes and cookie dough and all that kind of stuff, then obviously that's going to increase the price exponentially.
You mentioned Stark Raving Hazelnuts as well, most expensive item.
If you're going to make Stark Raving Hazelnuts, I'll put a link to that below. Get your wallet out, because that was really, really pricey. I think the biggest expense for that one was the bottle of alcohol, which Lefroy, not for me. But you wouldn't use the whole bottle for making it unless you made a huge, great batch of it. So if you were to break the cost of that down, it was still expensive. I think when I worked out the cost of alcohol use, it was somewhere around £8 a tub, so pretty pricey altogether. Next question. How do I calculate extra sugars in flavoured milk? Now, depending on where you're going to get your flavoured milk and how you're going to do it, if you go to a store and you buy flavoured milk, that's actually really easy to calculate, because it states on the back in most countries now, legally, it has to state how much sugar, carbs, fat, protein and salt is in a recipe, in a product. So if you were to buy, let's say, chocolate milk off the shelf, you can look on the back and see that per 100 millilitres or grams, depending on where you live, it will have that much sugar in it. Obviously, if you're using 300 millilitres rather than just milk, then you add up the sugar used. You add up the sugar that's in that milk itself and subtract it from the overall recipe's amount that you're using. So let's say your recipe is, I'm just going to randomly pick numbers, 500 ml or 500 grams worth of milk, and you use 160 grams of sugar. If your 500 grams of milk has 40 grams of sugar in it, then you would just subtract the 40 grams of sugar that's in your flavoured milk from your overall sugar content for the rest of the recipe. Now, if you're going to start steeping things in your dairy, like cereal, it's a much harder thing to do. There's no way to know how much sugar is seeping out of that product into your milk without testing it. There's no way to know. And it would be different every time. You can get tools to measure sugar content. I'll put a picture of one up here. They're quite expensive, and for most home ice cream makers, there's no point. A lot of people on Facebook groups love to do it. And that's up to them, but most people wouldn't go out and buy a tool specifically to measure the sugar content of their ice cream. They want to make something that tastes good, nice and quick, in the machine, away you go. So, a couple of different options. One you can, one you can't. Next question. This is a long one. If I do not have a commercial stabilizer, what combination of other items such as dextrose, corn syrup, xanthan gum, skim milk powder, etc. works well? What items would you consider make a significant difference, and what would be your must-haves? Stabilizers. Stabilizers got a bad rap over the years. Most of them actually come from seaweed. So they're vegan by and large, and they're just another off-the-shelf product. But they'll be given E numbers over in England and most of North America. So they've got this stigma attached to them that they're bad for you. They're absolutely not bad for you. Dextrose, corn syrup aren't stabilizers. They're just types of sugar. Dextrose is less sweet than sucrose, but has a higher effect on your freezing point. Corn syrup, there's lots of different types of corn syrup. So corn syrup is an invert sugar essentially, but then you've got your high fructose corn syrup, your golden syrup, they're all invert sugars. So they're not stabilizers. Xanthan gum is a stabilizer. Stabilizer is quite a complex subject. It deserves much more time than a minute or two just rambling on about it. But if you were really just looking for the least amount of product to stabilize your ice cream, and you really want to get into it, then I would recommend locust bean gum and guar gum. Those two combined will stabilize your ice cream for quite a period of time. If you don't want to get into stabilizers, you can use skim milk powder. It will not stabilize it for as long a period of time, because what it is doing is holding on to the free water in your ice cream recipe, rather than those stabilizers that I mentioned before, the guar gum and locust bean gum. They create gels within your ice cream base, which will help stabilize the mixture overall. So they're quite different approaches to stabilizing ice cream. But if you want to know more about stabilizers, let me know. If I get enough people that want to see it, then I'll make an entire episode on stabilizers and the types and what they do. Next question. Do you prefer ice cream that is made with egg yolks versus eggless? Your recipes are mostly eggless, so I guess that's the answer. But what factors made you switch? It's just much easier. Because I use stabilizers, there's no point using eggs. There's really no point. Modern technology in food science has come on such a way that you don't need to use eggs. Most people get confused as to why eggs exist in ice cream recipes. They think that the whole frozen custard thing is very different to ice cream. Frozen custard is a different product to American ice cream and gelato. So the texture is very different and the result is very different. It's borderline frozen pudding, if you will. But eggs, scientifically, you're just looking for the lecithin in there to, excuse me, to act as an emulsifier within the base, which makes the fats and waters combine into a more stable solution. You don't need to do that with stabilizers. You can buy proprietary mixes off the shelf ice cream stabilizer from Special Ingredients. I'll put a picture up here. That's got a mix of lots of stabilizers and emulsifiers already in it, so you can just take however much you need out of that, sling it in, and once that's all heated up to the same temperature that eggs would need to be heated up to anyway to make sure they're cooked, you've created the same texture as a custard base, but without all the fuss and hassle. Plus, people have got this weird notion that you must temper eggs in the same way that it's been tempered for the last 150 years. And in a way, I just get bored of telling people that you don't need to do it. People still do it. And, you know, over the years, I've seen people that need 16 egg yolks in a 5 Michelin star vanilla ice cream. What are you doing? Why would you do that? You might as well just go out and murder chickens, but, you know, it's just pointless. Excuse me. Next question. I could go on about the whole eggs and ice cream for ages. What do I need to consider when making a fruit ice cream to ensure that it's still scoopable, not icy and not hard, such as peach and pineapple, apple, etc.? What should I consider regarding their juice, and how does that affect the ice cream since it's mostly water? I don't want a mild flavour, I want the fruit flavour to shine through and slap me in the face, in their terms. Interesting question. One I should drink upon. Fruit flavours can be quite weak. With most fruits, you need to cook them down with sugar. The sugar pulls the water out of the fruits. So when people do strawberry, we did the vegan strawberry here, so we actually macerated that with the strawberries with the sugar, pulled the moisture out of the strawberries, allowed us to then evaporate some of that water off and create like a semi-strawberry jam, if you will. You could do that with any kind of fruit you like, give or take a few. You can roast them in the oven, you can cut them up and put them in a pan with the sugar, those kind of things. What you're trying to do is you're trying to create a much stronger version of that fruit juice. And when you do that with the sugar, you're creating an invert sugar. I mentioned that in an orange video that we've just finished filming. I don't know if it's out yet. If it is, I'll put a link down below. If it's not, I'll flash up a picture here so you can see what it looks like. But that was helping someone out who came to us via Ko-fi. They sent a recipe saying, I'm really struggling with the with this orange ice cream. This is what I've got. So in that video, we talk about how to rectify this recipe. And the first one that he sent us had no flavour, and that's because it was reliant purely on the juice. So orange, lemon juice has a very limited flavour profile. It doesn't stick around. Add that to dairy, fat essentially, and you start to lose all the flavour. Most of flavour in citrus fruit comes from the essential oils that's in the skin. So for those kind of fruits, you would take those essential oils and steep them in your base for as long as you can without the base going off. You know, overnight is usually enough. Warm it just slightly on the hob. You know, I'll put a little video up here of the simple process of doing it, and what you get is a really nice, strong, pungent flavour. As for pineapple, I've never made pineapple ice cream. I love pineapple, but I do get acid indigestion problems. Pineapple is not good if you have acid reflux. Apple is actually really difficult. I've tried quite a few apple ice creams over the years, and I went to a company that sold gelato and tried apple gelato, and it was shocking, really, really bad. We saw some in Japan when we went on our honeymoon, but I didn't actually eat it, and I wish I had. But I think I'm going to try an apple ice cream and just see how to get that kind of flavour through. But it's going to be a very similar process. You know, we're going to cook those apples down to get that flavour boosted. There's no essential oils in the actual skin, so I don't know. We'll see how we get on.
Banana's always a bit tricky.
Yeah, banana ice creams. I don't like banana ice cream. If you watch, or if you did watch that video, you'll find out why. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of bananas. But the longer you leave bananas before going mouldy, the stronger the sugar or the carbs get converted into sugar. They're much easier to process in your ice cream. But even just putting bananas in your dairy and leaving it will impart a really strong banana flavour. By roasting the bananas, like we did in ours, it really helped to bring that banana flavour through. And although I'm not a banana ice cream fan, it was really good ice cream. Next question. Can we make ice cream that is sugar-free and suitable for diabetic patients like the Australian ice cream brand Donada? Never had that. Never been to Australia. You can. It's much harder than people think. There are a few people out there that have done it really well. I had a quick look at their ingredients. Something was quite interesting, made us both laugh. Don't eat too much of it because it's a laxative. And that's because of the type of sugar substitute that they use. You know, you've got things like xylitol. And if you eat too much of that, that will go through you. But there is a sugar substitute that is in North America that apparently is very, very good. We don't have it available here, so I can't do anything with it. But yes, I will do sugar-free ice cream in 2023. It's not that difficult, to be fair, but it's just finding the right combination of sugar substitutes. That's all it is. And that leads us to our final question for our first Q&A. What is the best way to get a strong flavour in ice cream, whether it be pistachio or almond paste or whatever? That is quite simple. Drop the fat. Gelato has a much easier way of bringing flavours forward. Dairy fat dulls flavours massively. Egg has a flavour profile that allows it to overtake other flavours as well. So if you want a strong flavour ice cream, go with no egg gelato bases. And that's really the best way to do it. Then it's about how to increase the strength of that flavour by whatever it is you're making. If it's pistachio, I do it personally, and I know most commercial sellers of pistachio ice cream do it as well. They add almond extract because the flavour profiles of flavonoids within almond extract actually complement that of pistachios. Some people hate adding almond extract to pistachio and they want the flavours of the pistachio to come through, but not all pistachios are equal. Some are flavourless. Some are really strong flavoured. So unless you know what type you've got, then you don't really know how to treat your ice cream base. If you've got a really nice, strong flavoured pistachios, you'll be all right with just that. You know, you can toast them in the oven, blitz it up, turn it into a pistachio butter, keep some pieces to add in after, and go that route. If you don't have a flavourful pistachio, then you might want to add some almond extract, like we did.
Did you film the pistachio?
Yeah,
Did?
it's up there somewhere.
Oh, vegan pistachio.
The vegan pistachio was great ice cream, really, really good. I'll put a link below for that as well if you want to see it. But ultimately, it's knowing your ingredients and how strong the flavour is. You know, if the orange that you're using is not particularly flavourful, it's because you've used the wrong part of the orange to flavour your ice cream. If the chocolate that you're using isn't imparting much flavour, it's because you're using a low-fat cocoa powder, likely non-Dutched. That will make it very weak in flavour. Things like coffee, instant coffee in North America is shit. We had a look when we were there and I just couldn't drink it. It's disgusting, so I threw it in a bin. Over in England, instant coffee is really good, really, really good. I'm quite happy using that for coffee ice cream because you can get a really strong, really good coffee flavour without going a whole bean route. But it's what's available to you. You know, a lot of people don't like the fact that I use instant coffee in coffee ice cream. Not surprised when their instant coffee tastes like dirt scraped off the street. If they were to come over here and try the instant coffee that we have available, I mean, it's not all good. Some of it's crap over here, but some of it is really, really good. And, you know, I'm a coffee lover. I drink a lot of it. So it's knowing what other people use in relation to what you're expecting. So for coffee, for instance, if you're expecting to use beans and you come here and you see me use instant, you'll likely get pissed off. But ultimately, if you don't live in the country and you don't know what this coffee is like, you don't know. It's very good coffee. I wouldn't use bad coffee in the ice cream. But if you also know that you like coffee beans and that's what you drink, use that. It makes no difference. You use the ingredients that you like, make the ice cream that you like, make it how you want to make it. Don't listen to all the naysayers that are floating around the internet saying, oh no, you must do this, you must use 150 eggs in your ice cream base to make a custard that is as dense as Queen of Sheba's ass milk bath. I don't know, it doesn't make any difference. Just literally make your ice cream how you want to make it. It doesn't matter what other people think. You're the one eating it. So that's kind of why people, you're right. That's why some people like to belittle others on the internet.
I've got cramp in my throat and trying not to laugh.
I was talking about the Queen of Sheba's ass. That's donkey, not her ass, a donkey. So, there's a lot of questions relating to ice cream. And you're never going to get it perfect because everyone likes to do things a different way. So ultimately, the recipes that I put up for you, you're free to use however you want to use them. If you find that one of them has got too much sugar, drop the sugar to a level that you're happy with. I like my ice cream scoopable straight from the freezer. A lot of people aren't bothered by that. They'll take it out of the freezer for 5-10 minutes, let it warm up slightly and then scoop it that way. Whatever works for you. It's all good. It's all gravy, as people in the 1800s used to say. They didn't. Anyway, that's it. Q&A number 1, done. We'll do another one next year. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is a big landmark for us. I've been doing this channel coming up to 2 years in January, I think it is. So hopefully we can get to that 1,000 subscriber mark before the end of 2022. If you fancy supporting the channel, you can find us on Ko-fi. It's a Patreon alternative. I'll put a link below and I'll put the details on the screen here as well. That just enables you to offer support and make sure that we can keep doing what we're doing here. YouTube monetization is quite limiting, but whilst we're almost at the subscriber count for it, we're nowhere near the view time for it. So if you're going to wait for that, it's going to be a while. So anything you can help with would be much appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.